Listeners, NerdWallet wants you to let them do the work for you. Looking for auto insurance? The Nerds will match you with top providers in your area in just a few questions. So getting the right rate for you is as simple as going to nerdwallet.com. After all, letting NerdWallet do the work is more than smart. It's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services Incorporated. California resident license number OK92033. Did you know over 65% of adults in the U.S. are magnesium deficient? That can lead to muscle cramps, brain fog, headaches, and insomnia. Symbiotica's magnesium L-threonate is the only form that crosses the blood-brain barrier, delivering nutrients straight to your brain for better memory, focus, and mood. Symbiotica's formulas are pure, no artificial additives or hidden ingredients. It's a difference you can feel. With thousands of 5-star reviews, people swear by it. Refresh your spring routine with 20% off plus free shipping at symbiotica.com/rach. That's symbiotica.com/RACH. If you already have a hobby that you love, but you have not done it in a while, like my buddy at the conference, or you have not engaged in it in weeks or months, this is your reminder from the universe to get back into the thing that you love. I do not care what it is. Start planning it into your weekly schedule. It is good for your heart. It's good for your soul. You will be a better version of yourself for everybody that you love. If you have people in your community, if you lead a team, I am telling you, they will be better served by you leaning into the parts of yourself that bring you joy, especially if you don't have anybody else in your life that digs that thing too. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of the show. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope that the title of today's episode sounded at least intriguing to you and not like the most ridiculous podcast ever. I have been thinking actually for a few months about doing an episode all about hobbies. Different hobbies that we can try as we are older and not little kids who, we fall into games and playing with our friends, but actual grown adults who maybe don't have anything to take up the extra time. And so you find yourself using the extra time that you have engaging in activities that aren't actually benefiting you. And yeah, so I'd been thinking about doing an episode like this for a while. And I'd even started collecting a list of the hobbies that I have or my friends have, just things I thought that y'all might be interested in. And I haven't recorded the episode, to be honest, because I didn't know if it was a little silly. I try and do these episodes that maybe are helpful or have a little bit more weight. And the idea of just doing a bunch of hobbies, I was like, I just don't know if that's a thing anyone cares about. And then I had I'm going to use the word profound. That sounds pretty dramatic, but I can't think of a better word. I had a really profound experience a couple weeks ago that I want to tell you about, and it made me really get angry and then also feel really impassioned and then remember that I had been working on this episode and want to actually put it out in the world. So let me tell you the story, and then I'm going to share a bunch of different ideas for hobbies and why I think we should all have some. But here's the deal. I think y'all know this about me, but I am a keynote speaker. I've done it for a really long time. I'm super blessed in that different companies and organizations will bring me in to talk to people at their annual conference or their annual sales meeting, or maybe I come into a small group setting. But I've had the opportunity to do this for the last decade, and it's a really fantastic part of my job. It's something I really love because I get to see people face to face and talk about real stuff, not just into this microphone, but in real life. So I went out to do a keynote at a conference, and I was pretty excited because I was asked to come and speak to a women's group. Now, to be real, I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything, but I love the girls. I feel like we speak a language. Those are my favorite people. So I was excited because it's a women's group, and I felt like I was going to just get to hang out with some ladies and fire them up and get them going. And it just so happened that I walked into this conference and I was backstage preparing to go on stage, and there was a monitor where I could see the entire audience as they came in. And I was really shocked because 80% of the audience were men. It was men in their, I would say at least 40s, but a lot of 50s, 60s, think sales group, that sort of vibe. And think men who are wearing khakis and a button-down shirt. Y'all know me. I am right now. I'm recording this for you in Hawaii. I have crazy beach hair. I'm barefoot. I'm wearing an oversized, super hippie tie-dye shirt. And then I'm going to go talk to a group of sales guys rocking their polo shirt. I was like, oh no. As a keynote, when you've done it as long as I have, oh dang, this is not going to be my crowd. And I was really excited about the keynote I was going to give because it was based on what the client had asked me to come in and speak about, which was just the different challenges that we face in life. One of the most profound being there's a lot of change right now that happens for people. If you are working in an organization and you're dealing with the change of AI and technology and just everything moves so fast. So I had prepared a keynote I'd never given before, and I was really excited about it. And I walked out there and I started talking, and it's just crickets. I know very quickly, oh, this keynote is not going to work for this crowd. And there are people who would approach that in two different ways. I think earlier in my career, I probably would have just plowed ahead. This is the speech I created. This is what they're going to get today. But I've done it long enough that my heart and my intention is I really don't care in that moment what the organizers ask me to put forth. I care that this audience in front of me, which is about 500 people, I care that they leave this room and I've uplifted them in some way. I care that they get a little energy, they get a little life, maybe they get an idea. And in order for that to happen, I have to adjust the speech I'm giving based on the feedback that I'm getting energetically from this crowd. So I start to adjust what I'm saying, and I try a bit of everything. And I need you to understand, I have given a lot of speeches over the last decade. If you've been to a Rise conference, I'll get up on stage, I'll talk for 4 hours. I know how to do this thing. I don't consider myself an expert at anything. I try and always learn and grow, but I'm pretty dang good at this part of my job. And everything I'm trying, I just can't get anything back. And I have a moment, I take a pause to drink some water, and I'm praying. I'm constantly praying before I go on, when I'm preparing my speech and when I'm on stage, because I hope that I can be a force for good, and I hope I can, get a little insight from something greater than me that I can pass on to people. And I just like have a quick prayer of like, what is going on? And I just got this word like, look closer. And so I take a beat and I look at this audience, like really look at them. I'm just assuming that nobody who is in that audience is listening to this episode, but at the risk of offending you if you were, what I felt when I looked at that audience, like really looked, was freaking nothing, you guys. It's dead. There's no passion, there's no life, there's no energy. Now, certainly there were people in that audience who had those things, but if you are a small minority of high vibe people mixed in with a crowd of very low vibe people, it doesn't matter how high your vibe, you're not going to tip the scales. So I'm looking out in this audience, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I remember, sorry, we're getting real deep. Just go here with me for a second. I promise I'm going to share all the hobby ideas. It reminded me of this experience I had probably, 4 or 5 years ago when I did the last Rise conference, which ended up having to be a very small group in person. I think we had 100 people in person is all we were allowed because it was still pandemic. And then everyone else was virtual. And there was someone in the front row of that I have never experienced such a void of energy. And I still don't know if, I think it was one of two things. I think either something had happened to her that she had disassociated from her body and she was no longer present in her body, like when there's nothing behind the eyes, or she was maybe taking a medication that was numbing her out to the extent that she was not present. But either way, that feeling from that person, I was looking at that magnified by 50 in this crowd. And I was like, holy crap. And it made me really scared for the state of the world. Wow, this is very dramatic. You thought it was about hobbies. It made me really freaked out because if I'm looking at 500 people at this annual sales meeting or sales conference or whatever it was, who have flown in from all over the US, then I have to assume I'm looking at a pretty good segment of this type of person. And what I gleaned in that moment is like, they're not there. They're not there. Like, and I know they're not there. I'm not just waxing poetic because I ended up changing my entire keynote about what I was sensing in that moment to, okay, these people are not here, which tells me that there's no energy in their body. Now, if I had y'all at a conference in that moment, I'd make everybody jump up and down and dance to some favorite music and get energy back in their body. People always would see footage of us at a conference and they'd be like, why are people dancing? Why are people jumping? Is this a cult? It's like, no, dude, we're trying to stay energized so that we can learn and grow. If we're going to sit here for 10 hours, we want to keep our energy moving. And if I had you guys at conference, I could do that. But with this audience, that was not going to be a thing. Like they were not having any of it. So I was like, okay, what I am facing right now is a group of people with a complete lack of passion for whatever reason. Like obviously I don't know the context of each individual life, but there's no passion here. There's no vibration here. And what really is the foundation of that from my perspective is low-level depression or full-blown depression. But on whatever level that malaise permeates our culture, whatever level that hits each individual person, it feels like a real problem. Have you guys ever heard of deaths of despair? Are you familiar with this terminology? Okay, I'm going to read you the Google definition of a death of despair. There's a whole documentary on it, which honestly is pretty depressing, unsurprising. But a death of despair is caused by social and economic factors that lead to feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. Deaths of despair are things like accidental drug overdose. It's things like alcohol-related liver disease. If you think about it, imagine someone who is coping with feelings of despair, and the way that they cope ends up taking their life. Look, everyone knows that toilet paper is not created equal. Not all rolls are the same. Some are too soft. Some can, we say, sort of crumble, if you know what I'm saying. Then other toilet paper is so strong that it can actually hurt. And let's not even talk about the toilet paper that is so thin, it doesn't get the job done. Angel Soft is soft and strong and always affordable. Come on, life is too short. There's too much going on. I don't want to have to overthink this. So pick up a pack of Angel Soft in the toilet paper aisle of your nearest retailer. That's Angel Soft, soft and strong. Simple. If you've ever learned about nutrition in a way that you didn't know before, and suddenly you're way more thoughtful about what your food is made with, what's on the back of the label, it can be really confusing when you're first starting out to understand what means what you should buy for your family, and what you should leave at the store. Well, now you can spend less time at the grocery store thanks to Thrive Market, your new go-to online grocery store for getting all of your healthy essentials delivered. With over 1,000 harmful ingredients banned from their store, Thrive Market's team of product researchers do the hard work so you don't have to spend all of your time trying to figure out what is in the food you are ordering. Finding better options for your whole family is super easy with Thrive Market's Healthy Swap Scanner. You can scan a product you already have, and it instantly recommends healthier items. Ready to make the switch? Go to thrivemarket.com/rach for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/rach. thrivemarket.com/rach. It's a pretty serious thing, and it affects a lot of people. Going through your life and just being genuinely unhappy, not fulfilled most of the time isn't just a bummer, it also threatens your health. It also threatens your livelihood. It's also a waste of this one chance you get to live this life to the best of your ability. And I'm looking out at this audience and I'm like, good grief, like they're really struggling for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is. These people are really struggling. So I think, okay, I know a hack when I'm giving a keynote that can help people reorient, get a little life in the session, which is let's visualize the future. Let's do a guided visualization where I'm going to help them see who they want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you probably have done one of those visualizations with me, either here on the pod, or maybe you've been at a keynote and you've heard me do this. It's usually so inspiring. It doesn't matter where in the world I do this exercise, you can feel the entire vibration of the room raise within 5 minutes because everyone just saw something exciting. They get fired up. I am telling you guys, I did this in that room. It again, like nothing, it's dead. And I finally was just like, this is insane. I'm going to call it out. So I said, who saw something that they've never seen before? And I usually ask that question because through visualization, we get ideas about a future that maybe we hadn't considered. So I said, who saw something new and exciting, something they've never seen before? And no one raises their hand. And I'm like, y'all, like I finally just am like, okay, we're about to get a little yee in our haw. I said, y'all, what is going on? How can you, for 5 minutes, try and imagine a more beautiful future than the life you're currently living, and none of you came up with anything new? Either you're all living the greatest existence ever or something's wrong. What is going on? And bless, it's dead silent. Nobody's responding to me. And bless this man in the front row who says, sort of quietly, but I hear him, he says, "What's the point?" And I'm like, "What?" He said, "What's the point? Like, I can't see anything new because, like, I've done all the things." And I'm looking at this guy like he's mid-50s or something. I'm like, "You, sir, you have done all the things at 54, whatever it is, assuming that you live as long as most people, like you've got, what, 30, 40 years left to go, but you've done everything?" And he said, "Well, yeah, like I've done all the things you're supposed to do. I own my own home. I'm married. I have beautiful kids. Like I've done all those things." And then it clicks. I'm like, oh, dang. And I think of that brilliant and brutal quote by Thoreau that said, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." I'm like, oh, damn. I said, oh, I get it. How many of you have achieved things, the things you were supposed to want, the things you were supposed to, you've done all the stuff, you've checked the boxes. And in those quiet moments when no one else is around and you haven't numbed out the thought, a little voice whispers, "Is this it? Is this all there is? Is this why I was working this hard?" And the way that we in Western culture tend to approach that voice is one of two ways. We either numb it with alcohol or pills or cigarettes or porn or shopping or gossip or whatever numbing mechanism serves us best. We numb the thought, or we come up with a new, brilliant, exciting idea or fabulous goal that we are going to chase down, and that'll be the thing that'll make us happy. And then we achieve that goal and we're like, oh, let's pick this one over here. And so I end up utilizing this guy in the front row, bless his heart. I'm going to see if I can get the keynote recording and we'll play it as a podcast episode if they let me. But I end up building the entire keynote around this guy and bless him because he was so gracious to answer my questions and work with me. And through his story, which was this massive reveal to the rest of the audience, everybody started to see themselves. And in him being vulnerable and admitting things about his life, you saw the weight start to come off people in this room. And what was so incredible, yeah, I hope I can get this keynote because I want to play it for you guys. What was so incredible is that this guy who ended up, I found out later, was a leader in their organization. He's telling me every day's the same. I kind of live in the same life, doing the same stuff. I don't know what else I'm supposed to aim for. And I said, okay, I do. Who were you before you were the guy in the button-down shirt? And he laughs and a bunch of people in the room laugh. And I'm like, is there anything that you did, a hobby, an activity, something that you absolutely loved to do, but you don't do anymore because the guy in the button-down shirt wouldn't do that thing? And his whole face lights up. And I'm like, bingo. I was like, that, what did you just think of? And he's like, it's really silly. It's so ridiculous. I'm like, no, that's perfect. Tell me what it is. And he said, in the 90s, I loved punk rock. I loved going to see punk rock. It was my favorite thing. I went to gigs all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, go to a punk show. Go to a concert. Like, when's the last time you went to a concert? And he's like, it's been at least 25 years. I mean, how depressing, you guys. How depressing. He just came up with something that he absolutely loves, and he has not done it in 2.5 decades because it doesn't make sense to anybody else around him that he could be the guy in the button down and be the guy who wants to go see a punk show. And I was like, do you listen to punk music? He's like, no. I'm like, not even in the car on the way to work? You never pump yourself up? He's like, no. I said, how old are your kids? He's like, 13. He has twins, 13-year-old twins. I said, oh, do the twins know? Have you played them any of your favorite music? And he started laughing. He's like, no. I'm like, who in this room has known this man for more than 5 years? And like 20 people raised their hand. I said, has anyone known him for more than 10 years? Hands stay up. I said, now keep your hand up if any of you knew that he liked music. Everyone drops their hand. I said, what that tells me is you are not showing up in your life as your authentic whole self, because you have dropped parts and pieces of you along the way. And you have dropped those parts and pieces because society tells us that those parts and pieces don't matter or they don't fit, but they light your heart up. I ended up asking him his favorite band, and we played a song, and he got so fired up. And the beautiful part of this whole experience is he comes up to me at the end, and he's with a group of like eight guys. And they're older, you guys. These are not even men in their 40s. I'm talking 50s and 60s at this point. And these guys are like grinning. They're like, this was the highlight of our sales conference. Like this was huge. And they're all like, we didn't know this about him. He never told us. And someone else is like, and I love this. And someone's like, I love that. And someone else in the room also loved punk. And he was like, let's go to a show. Like if you don't have a passion, you can't share a passion. If you don't have a passion, how are you supposed to make friends? Seriously. You would be shocked how many people call into the podcast hotline and ask how to make friends as an adult. And I've been given the same answer for a decade, which is to join a club, to join a group, to find something you are really into, and then go to that thing and meet people who are also into that thing. That's how you make friends as an adult. But an even greater worry that we need to have is if you are only living your life just living, you wake up every day, you eat the same foods, you go to work, you see the same people, you drive home, you take care of the kids, you check the boxes every day. You might not even be feeling like life is bad. You're like, man, I'm super blessed. I'm doing better than mom and daddy and grandma and grandpa. And like, I have what I'm supposed to have. I shouldn't complain. Life was not meant to be this monotonous march towards death. I am dramatic. I know that I am. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to have joy. It's supposed to be filled with more than just getting by. And so if you already have a hobby that you love, but you have not done it in a while, like my buddy at the conference, or you have not engaged in it in weeks or months, this is your reminder from the universe to get back into the thing that you love. I do not care what it is. Start planning it into your weekly schedule. It is good for your heart. It's good for your soul. You will be a better version of yourself for everybody that you love. If you have people in your community, if you lead a team, I am telling you, they will be better served by you leaning into the parts of yourself that bring you joy, especially if you don't have anybody else in your life that digs that thing too. Visiting South Dakota was always one of my someday things. Like, well, someday I'm going to go see the Dakotas, and someday I'm going to walk through Badlands National Park, and someday I'm going to see Mount Rushmore in person. And then a couple summers ago, I just made someday today, and it was awesome. The kids and I had the most amazing time. We went hiking. We saw Mount Rushmore, which is like shockingly more majestic than you think it would be. We had amazing dinners. We stayed in this awesome log cabin in a national park. It was truly one of our favorite family vacations. And I loved it because it was this great blend of seeing a part of the US I'd never seen before and being outside in nature. So maybe it's time you turn someday into today. See why there's so much South Dakota and so little time. Plan your escape at travelsouthdakota.com. I have the New Balance 1080s in two different colors. I've got the sort of minty green moment and I've got the white moment because, you need it for the outfit. The New Balance 1080 is the ultimate daily trainer, combining reliable comfort with top-tier performance. Whether you're logging miles or running errands, the 1080 seamlessly transitions from the coffee shop to the grocery store, offering versatility from everything from everyday to race day. The New Balance 1080 midsoles offer cushion support, and I mean it, you guys. It's like bouncing on top of a cloud. Featuring a lightweight and breathable mesh upper, the New Balance 1080 keeps your feet cool and fresh throughout every run. Shop the 1080 at newbalance.com. Also, if you don't have a hobby, if you're like, girl, me, like I am the person who's doing the same thing, I don't know what I am into, that's where today's list comes into play. I'm just going to give you a bunch of ideas for things you can try to see if you like them. Now, because I am so hopped up on this idea, I am also going to share tomorrow on the show an audiobook chapter I haven't shared with you guys yet, which is all about finding your passion and your purpose by trying a bunch of different stuff to see what isn't your passion and what isn't your purpose. So that's going to be tomorrow. So if you want to understand why this matters, make sure you check out tomorrow's episode. But for today, this is a list. It's just a bunch of ideas of stuff that you can try and why I think you will be into them. Let's go. Number one, this is my personal favorite hobby, experimenting in the kitchen. My husband and I love to cook, and we have established Saturday night dinner, Saturday supper, because I like alliteration, where every Saturday we pick a meal, we plan a meal around a certain category of food. So Italian or Indian, or we're going to do barbecue, we're going to do Mediterranean, like we make up whatever it is, we come up with a bunch of dishes based on the theme, and we will cook all day long on Saturday to make a beautiful family dinner on Saturday night. And it is so much fun and it gives us so much life, and we are constantly adjusting and trying to make it better. I have been perfecting my butter chicken recipe for months and months. I actually tried a new hack last night because last night was Saturday dinner, and I was really freaking pumped because I am dialing it in. I know you guys don't care, but I was so happy because I tried something that I didn't have a recipe for, but I was just like, I think this makes sense. And it was so good. And anyway, I love experimenting in the kitchen. The way I always suggest this to people is if there is something that you love to eat, that is a fantastic thing to try and learn to cook or to bake. Pick one thing and make that same dish over and over. I don't mean every day, unless you have OCD, in which case, have at it. But like every weekend, maybe you make the same chocolate cake again and again, and you keep experimenting and tweaking and trying figuring out how to make it better. Don't just blindly do the same test again and again. Do some research. So if you bake that chocolate cake and it's a bit dry, do some research to find out why it might be dry, and then try something else. See if that helps. That's why I said experimenting in the kitchen, not becoming a chef or becoming a baker. Those feel like a lot of pressure, but experimentation feels fun. Second hobby you can try, long distance walking or hiking. This is fabulous because you need to move your body every day anyway. But I love taking long walks wherever I am, and you can parlay that hobby into vacations. So Kez and I have done the Camino de Santiago twice, not the whole thing. We do it in chunks, which is an ancient pilgrimage inside of Spain. and was an opportunity for us to visit the Basque region in Spain, which I don't think I ever would have done. Beautiful, beautiful country, amazing food, and we were walking every day. So our hobby turned into something more. Go take a walk, go take a hike. Learning an instrument. Maybe you played something when you were younger and at some point you knew you weren't ever going to be a great jazz saxophone player or a drummer. And so you stopped playing piano, this thing that you used to love. Pick it back up. Pick it back up. In fact, at that conference during the keynote, I was like, is there someone else who had something that they loved that they've stopped doing? And this woman raised her hand and said, you played piano. I used to love it. I played all the time. And I was like, okay, do you have a piano? She's like, yeah. And I said, okay. So this is really about scheduling time in your day. She's like, absolutely. I like 5 minutes. Schedule 5 minutes to get back in the habit. Just go do scales for 5 minutes every day to get yourself back in the mode. And then if you need it, give yourself some motivation. So I asked her, I said, when you were playing piano before, what was your favorite part? Was it playing music alone and getting really moody and emo? Was it, and I'm just giving her all these ideas. And she said, oh, it was recitals. I loved recitals. And I said, oh, so you liked working on a piece and building up to performance. She's like, yeah, absolutely. I said, fantastic. So if I were you, I would give myself a performance 3 months from now. I'd put it on the calendar that you're going to go do an open mic night. You're going to go play at a local bar. You're going to volunteer at an old folks home in your neighborhood. Amazing. We love any hobby, y'all, that combines things. So hiking is movement and a hobby. Playing piano for the senior citizens is a hobby and you're showing up for your fellow man. These are fantastic. So I was like, get something on the books that you have a commitment and now you have to practice because you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of everybody who will be there for the performance. Next up, embroidery or cross stitch or sewing or knitting or crochet, any kind of crafting with thread or yarn or fabric that you can do with your hands. The women in my family have done this for generations. So when I was little, I started doing cross stitch. I haven't done it in a really long time, but I could see myself getting back into that as I get older. Especially they have these great patterns now where they say really funny things in cross stitch, like don't be a jerk, but imagine it as this like really beautiful cross stitch pillow with flowers and stuff. So there's a lot more playful and fun things you can do with crafting than I think you could when we were young. And maybe it's time that you start to experiment. Number 5 is volunteering. If you are feeling pretty bummed out about your life and there isn't currently any active, really hard thing in it, like if you're in a season of grief, if you just lost someone, if you went through a breakup, if you lost your job, whatever, those are seasons where, yes, there is an outside force that is affecting the way you feel about your life. But if you can be honest with yourself, and you know that you're really not in that season, you're just feeling pretty bummed out. Maybe you're feeling a little sorry for yourself. You're wishing that your life was better or different or cooler or was more like a Kardashian. Go volunteer. Go show up for someone else. Because when we get into those cycles, we are too self-focused. We need to go show up for our community, for other people, and you can do that in so many ways. Make sure that you pick a volunteer activity that lights your heart up. If you do not like other people's kids, don't volunteer to be room mom because you heard me say volunteer. Instead, focus on something you love. Maybe you absolutely love dogs, but you already have 3 and you can't get another one. Go volunteer at the local shelter. Be that person who takes dogs on a walk in your neighborhood where they have the leash that says, adopt me or whatever. Like, go volunteer with animals. Go volunteer with senior citizens. Go volunteer in the community center. Go plant a garden. Go pick up trash. Go do something that you really enjoy. Show up with your skills and your talent and your heart and your hands and see how much better you feel after the experience. Number 6, gardening. I love a garden. I absolutely love a garden. I planted some winter carrots. I've never grown carrots before, and they are just any day now. Any day. they're going to come up, and I cannot wait to see, are they like big and beautiful or small and stubby? Who knows? Who cares? They're making me happy just because I grew them from seed, and I'm pretty proud of how they look. If you are not yet capable of doing a full vegetable garden or a cutting garden, then keep a single plant alive. Keep a plant alive. Try an orchid, which is actually way easier than people think it is. Just do a little research. Get a snake plant, which are really hard to kill and require very little water. But find something along those lines and put intention into it. My next idea is pottery or clay work, whether that's working at a wheel or doing a pinch pot. There's like a reason every romantic comedy has a pottery scene. It's therapeutic, it's creative, and I don't know, it makes you feel really cool when your hands are all messy and like maybe you're wearing a smock. If you have always thought about getting into ceramics, well, this is your push that you need to go sign up for a class. Next idea, learning a new language or relearning a language that you started learning a decade ago and never really took seriously. If you are at a place in your life where you have the time, freedom, and money to do so, I signed up for a Spanish immersion class, 5-6 years ago, and it was amazing. I went to Mexico City for a week. Like if you go to Cabo, if you go to a popular vacation destination, lots of people speak English and it's very easy to get by in English. If you go to Mexico City, you are speaking Spanish or you are not able to order food. And if you're trying to learn a language, the immersion factor is so key. So if you can afford it, if you can do it, look into that because it was so fun. The city was so fabulous. I mean, whatever language. Maybe it's French, maybe it's Italian. Either way, go eat your way through a city while learning a language. How freaking delicious. Next idea I had was bird watching. My boo loves birds more than he loves our family. He really, truly watches birds. He has like 3 apps on his phone. He has an app on his phone that if he holds it up to the air and a bird is chirping, the app will tell him what kind of bird it is. If he's like, wait, I don't know that chirp. It's called Chirp-O-Matic, by the way, in case you're curious. But bird watching is totally free. You can go out wherever you live and look for birds. And if you live in a city that doesn't have birds, you've gone through the apocalypse and you don't know it. So get ready for the Hunger Games. Even huge, massive cities have birds that you can go look at, go walk through a park, or just become more observant of bird watching. Next idea is calligraphy or hand lettering. I took a calligraphy class online, probably 8 or 9 years ago. It was so fun. I didn't stick with it, but I felt very fancy. And for a while, all of my Christmas cards and all the letters that I sent were so beautiful. And I actually probably could still do it if I just gave it a shot. Go to one of those websites like Skillshare or Masterclass. Go take a class and have someone teach you how to do something you're interested in. Again, it doesn't matter if you suck. You're just trying something new. That is the whole point. Next idea, collect something. For a very long time, I collected vintage lighters. I also have a collection of vintage cake stands. I love a vintage collection because it gives you something to look for when you're on vacation besides a stupid t-shirt. If you collect something vintage, you can go very specifically to vintage shops or Salvation Army, both of which I have done on this trip to Hawaii. And you just go look through and find the very specific thing that you collect. Like if you just go to a vintage shop and you have no direction, it can be fun to wander, but it can also overwhelm you. But if you're like, oh, I collect sterling silver turquoise rings, you can walk into the vintage shop and say, hey, do you have any of these? And it's a really cool keepsake from your travels or from your life that is just special and interesting. Next idea, go to a concert. Go enjoy some live music. You know how much I love it. I talk about concerts and music all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. My husband works in the music industry, and my buddy who loved punk rock, I told him he needed to add that to his to-do list as soon as possible. You do not need someone to go with you. You can totally go to a concert by yourself and enjoy your favorite band or artist, or just go check out a style of music that you love. It's just shaking things up, guys, shaking off the cobwebs. It's stirring up your regularly scheduled programming in a way that makes your vibration rise. It makes you anticipate what could happen, what might go on here. It's just something cool and different and worth trying. Join a book club or start a book club. Just grab a book, hypothetically one of the ones I wrote might be fantastic, and start a club with people at work or people in your community or other moms at school drop off or other girls in the sorority. Look, every book club that has ever existed, there's only like one person who reads the book. It's more the idea we're going to get together, we're going to talk about these concepts. Maybe we're bringing food and some fun bevies. It's a chance to get together in community and discuss something. So don't put a lot of pressure on having to read the thing if that feels stressful, but start a book club anyway. My next idea is community theater. Now, if you just guffawed at that idea, remember that community theater has a lot of ways that you can show up. You don't have to act. You could go be an usher, you could work backstage, you could sew costumes. As someone who grew up doing theater and now has a son who has grown up doing theater, I will stand by forever that theater people are the best people in the world. They are the weirdos, they are the artists, they are creative, they are accepting of everybody. There is a special kind of magic that happens inside of a theater. It makes people happy. You should absolutely volunteer with your local community theater. And if you've ever considered acting, oh my gosh, you should just go for it. All you have to do is audition. And if you don't get it, who cares? You put yourself out there, you did something brave, and you can keep trying out. My next idea is thrifting. I know I just said the whole find something to collect, but specifically thrifting to refurbish and then flip what you found. So I love those YouTube videos where people find an old dresser or an old table from Facebook Marketplace, or they buy it at a garage sale or whatever, and they strip off like 50 layers of paint. They make it look so pretty, and then they resell it. Maybe you do that. Do you have some kind of skill? Do you know woodworking? Can you make frames like Jack? Producer Jack makes all the frames for my artwork because he got into woodworking a couple years ago and was like, do you need anything? And I'm like, yeah, bro, I need frames, custom. My kids make art on a canvas and I want it framed properly. So think about how you could use a little bit of a skill that you have, or maybe you learn a new skill to do some flipping. That sounds fun, and you make money. My next idea is cooking your way through a cookbook. Think Julie and Julia. You don't have to blog about the experience, but start at the very beginning and work your way from there. Cake decorating. I took a cake decorating at Michael's when I was about 10 years old, and I still have some of those skills from my Wilton's cake decorating class. Again, you got to be sort of mildly interested in the thing that you're taking on, because most hobbies are going to require a bit of effort on your part. So don't consider baking if you hate sugar and aren't really into the practice. But if it sounds sort of interesting to be the family baker for all of your nieces and nephews' birthday parties from here on out, consider that. Photography is another idea I had, whether that's with a fancy camera or just using the camera on your phone and seeing if you can learn how to take better pictures. So things like lighting or composition. You can watch YouTube videos, learn a bunch of stuff, and then go out into the world and see if you can apply it to the photo that you're taking. Oh, this one's good. Amateur food critic, I thought would be really fun. And I'm using that in a cheeky sort of way because you're not going to write about the experience. But what if you started trying all the restaurants in your town? This could take you years. It would be so fun. Maybe you get a group of people who like to eat too, and you say, okay, this week we're going to try this place and next week we're going to try that place. Or if you live in a big city, maybe you choose a certain category of food like best Italian or best cheeseburger. And once a week or once a month, you pick a new spot to go to and you try all the things, and it's a whole experience. It's super fun. Maybe it gives you something to make content about if you're a content creator. But I love to eat, so I just thought that would be a fun one. My next idea for us is to take a dance class. Any kind of dance that you're into, hip hop, tap, ballet. You could also take a workout class. I guess that could be a new fun thing. You could do a bar class or Pilates or one of those sort of Pilates morph things that makes you want to die, like Legree, but really tones your butt. Just consider a group class that you could get involved in that would help you try a new thing out. I took ballroom dance classes. As I'm going through this, I'm like, oh, I've done all of these hobbies. That's how I had the idea. I took ballroom dance classes when I was a teenager. My dad signed us up. Honestly, this is a true story. My dad, bless him, and his OCD, got his truck washed once a week at the same car wash for like decades and decades. We lived in a small town. And there was a guy who worked at the car wash shining shoes. His name was Ellie. He was fabulous. He was like pretty old. I was going to say very old. That sounds rude. I'm going to assume that Ellie is no longer with us, but he was a much older man. He shined shoes and he had these regular customers like my dad who every week would come in and have their shoes shined. And think like cowboys having their boots shined, not like fancy businessmen. That's neither here nor there. I just wanted you to have the proper picture. And over the years, my dad going to Ellie every single week, he discovers that Ellie is actually this really, really talented ballroom dancer. He and his wife are forever like ballroom dancers, and they teach a weekly ballroom dance class. And my dad, without asking me, signs us up for classes. And you guys, if you're wondering what the worst activity you could ever be made to do as like a 15-year-old, maybe I was like 13 or 14, going to a ballroom dance class where you are required to wear high heels and a dress, and you are the youngest person in the room by 40 years, I'm telling you, this is the worst thing it could be. I hated every single one of those classes, but I have such beautiful memories of that time. And I feel like I still have some moves. And now that I'm 42, I would love to take a ballroom dance class. Or what's the one? Oh, Lindy Hop or East Coast Swing. I always see those online. I'm like, oh, that looks so fun. So if there's any kind of dance you always thought would be fun to learn, maybe this is your year. Last two, we're going to land the plane. I'm sure there's so many more hobbies that we could all try, but this was the 23 that I came up with. Learning to make something from scratch. Doesn't matter what it is. Pasta, candles, natural skincare, homemade soap, your clothes. Like if there's something that you are into, it is really satisfying to learn how to make it yourself, especially if it's something you're putting in your body or on your body. Making it from scratch is going to be so much better for you than buying it at a store where you don't totally know what's in it. So consider a hobby where you make things from scratch. My last idea is probably the most obvious. Join an adult sports league. Bowling, soccer, softball, pickleball, ultimate frisbee, tennis. Does not matter what it is. Find a group of people who are into the sport you are into. Extra credit if it's a sport you did when you were younger and you really loved it and you miss that camaraderie, and get back in. Get back in. If you're feeling stuck or uninspired, or you can recognize some of the flatness I am describing when I tell you about that room of people that I was talking to, you don't need to buy another thing. You don't need to get another promotion. You don't need to make more money. You don't need to remodel the kitchen unless that becomes your hobby. You need some more passion in your life. And passion comes when we do things that we are excited about. And hobbies are incredible because they don't require us to be the best. They just require us to show up and try and have fun. I really hope something I said today struck a nerve with you and that you're at least willing to try. That you're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll make something from scratch and see what happens. If you've made it this far in the episode and you actually take up a hobby or restart a hobby that you had, oh my gosh, will you please call the hotline and tell us all about it? Wouldn't it be so fun if we could make an entire podcast episode where y'all just shared the hobby that you got into and how it's helping you? And the number 737-400-4626. Please, please, please let us know how it's going. And remember, tomorrow I'm going to post an episode that's all about passion and purpose. So if you want to take a deeper dive, but please, please know that there is more to this life than you checking the boxes. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're supposed to have a good time. You're supposed to love your life. Not every day is going to be easy, but if every day is the same boring thing over and over and you don't do anything to change it, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So let's shake things up. Let's try something new. You don't have to spend money. There are so many things I listed in this conversation that don't cost anything. Let's just get a little intention. Let's shake right now, shake your butt in your chair, wherever you are. Just shake it out. Shake it like a Polaroid picture. Just shake your booty real quick. Get a little energy into your body. You're here. You are here. Let's do something about it. I will be back soon with more conversation. If you love this episode, I hope you'll share it with a friend. And if nothing else, remember, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
Imagine what's possible in your business career when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format is available in select business programs and lets you learn at a time and pace that works for you. That means you don't have to put your life on hold while earning your business degree. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Businesses that are selling through the roof, like Untuckit, make selling and for shoppers buying simple with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And with Shop Pay, you can boost conversions up to 50%. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Untuckit uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/podcast-free. All lowercase. Go to shopify.com/podcast-free to upgrade your selling today.